Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
6:07 on O'Connor and Company, also known as the bunker buster of morning news shows.
Hey, I like that.
I think we're going to tag that one forever. Coming up at 7:05, Laura Reese of Heritage Foundation. She's going to elaborate on a story that we're just about to dip into about how the Trump administration cannot deport a convicted murderer, believe it or not. We'll get into those details with Laura Reese at 7:05, too. And then at 8:05, Chuck Teese, he's a D.C. political analyst. He'll talk about the latest, where D.C. Mayor Bowser is trying to get the D.C. Council to approve that RFK Stadium plan. 8:35, Andrew Galili will enlighten us on what happens if, in fact, the regime is changed in Iran. Can we have a democracy in that country? He'll tell us. That's all coming up. It's Larry O'Connor with a funky Patrice Onwuka. Are you bringing the funk?
I am. Happy Friday, everybody. We made it.
What do you mean we made it? We're still working.
Yeah, but, actually, this felt like a slower news week. Just slightly slower than we're accustomed to.
We're still white-knuckle gripped on the safety bar of this roller coaster that is the second Trump administration.
That is true. Anything can happen today.
We didn't, and we'll keep working over the weekend, too. Nothing stops.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into this story. It's amazing, and maybe you've seen this video. Bill Malugin was doing a ride-along down in Los Angeles. Bill Malugin, one of the best reporters over there at Fox News.
Hands down.
He started in Los Angeles. He worked for the local Fox affiliate in Los Angeles, and I knew him then when I did a radio program on our sister station, KABC, there. And he is now working for Fox National, but he's all over the place. He's in L.A. He's on the border. And take a listen to a little bit of this report as they were doing a ride-along, and they apprehended a criminal, a hardened, convicted criminal who is in the country illegally. Cut one, please.
Only Fox News was with ICE and HSI officers in Los Angeles as they moved in to take down a high-priority aggravated felon. His name is Alexander Palacios Guevara. DHS says he's a Salvadoran illegal alien and Sureños gang member with prior convictions for murder and attempted murder.
I have an immigration lawyer.
Guevara has had a deportation order since February 2024.
Hold on a quick second. So I just want to give you, in case you missed it, here's the scorecard. Salvadoran gang member, convicted murderer, convicted felon. So, and everyone protesting in the streets and throwing rocks at cops, and Gavin Newsom grandstanding and thumping his chest, and Karen Bass saying, "Stop the raids." This is who they're going after. They're not trying to find somebody who's out there just trying to cut your grass. Now, if the guy who's cutting your grass is in the country illegally and working illegally and also hanging out and having a cerveza with this guy, well, then, he might get caught up in the sting. But that's not the target here. ICE is doing exactly what they said they were going to do, which is go after scums like this.
Absolutely.
Right? And Karen
so.
Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, and the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, they're trying to protect them. They're saying, stop the raids, stop the raids. We don't want you going after these people. These are not warrants from an immigration judge, which would be an Article 2 judge, an administrative judge from the executive branch. These are criminal warrants from the bench, from the judiciary. These are judges who have submitted a criminal warrant for these people. And ICE is
These are the kind of people we need out.
Thank you. At the very least, Democrats constantly give lip service to that. I've got Alex Padilla, the guy who got arrested there as he was lunging at Kristi Noem at her press
California
conference.
senator.
He put out a video yesterday saying, there's no debate. Of course we want criminals deported. No, they don't.
Oh, no, they don't.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Because that's who they're going after, and they're trying to stop these operations. All right, I just wanted to make sure everyone heard that. That's who they're going after on this ride-along. All right, let's continue.
Deportation order since February 2024 and had been living freely in Los Angeles County, a sanctuary jurisdiction. Now that this convicted murderer is in federal custody, he's coming here to this ICE facility where he's going to be booked. They're going to take his fingerprints, take his biometrics. He'll be placed in a cell. But as we were reporting on what would happen next with Guevara, he interrupted us to repeatedly say he shouldn't be deported because he has a special form of relief called CAT. ICE says you have a deportation order since February 2024, sir.
No, I just got CAT on December the 18th of last year by the BIA. You can call my lawyer.
It turns out his claim is true. ICE wasn't aware at the time of his arrest, but in the final days of the Biden administration, on December 18th, the BIA, or Board of Immigration Appeals, under the Biden Department of Justice, granted Guevara a relief known as DCAT, meaning deferred removal under the Convention Against Torture. It means Guevara can't be deported to El Salvador because he fears being killed or tortured. And the Trump administration is outraged about it. An ICE spokesperson tells Fox, quote, "This criminal alien should never have been roaming the streets of Los Angeles. Not only is he a member of the ruthless Sureños gang, but he also has multiple convictions for murder, assault, and rape or sexual abuse of a minor." A highly unusual Biden-era legal decision from December allowed this dangerous criminal to live in American communities. Are you a convicted murderer, sir?
I am free.
Are you a convicted murderer? And guys, after that interaction, we learned that ICE briefly released this man from custody. Then they went out and rearrested him the very next day due to his criminal history. He remains in ICE custody now. But this just goes to show how complicated this system is. This Salvadoran man is convicted of murder. He's an alleged gang member. He has an active deportation order. He had his due process, but still, ICE is unable to send him back home to his home country because of this last-minute protection he got during the final days of the Biden administration. Now, ICE can and will try to deport him to a third-party country, but right now they have to wait for the Supreme Court to rule on their ability to do so because a federal judge in Boston earlier this year blocked them from doing third-party removals. Last point I want to make, I did reach out to this man's immigration attorney multiple times, asking her who exactly is he afraid is going to torture him back home. She never got back to me.
Yeah, I've got a hunch about that. Laura Reese, Heritage Foundation, former Homeland Security official, is going to join us coming up at 7:05, and I'll ask her. But my hunch is they don't like the new president of El Salvador, who's actually cracked down on crime. El Salvador used to be the murder capital of the world, along with their neighbor Honduras. They were competing, just like, soccer matches. They were like, no, we've got more murders. No, we do, and then the murders actually happen on the soccer pitch. But then Bukele gets in there, and he says, no, we're not going to tolerate this anymore. He gets rid of all of the corrupt politicians who were protecting these gang members and MS-13 and everything, and then he created high-tech prisons, rounded them up, gave them trials, convicted them, and put them in jail. And I think the Biden administration didn't like that. They liked the status quo, and I think they believe that if he goes back and he's put into the we've all seen the images of this prison that is, pretty horrendous. If you're a criminal like this guy is, I think the Biden administration deemed that to be torture. It's like, if he goes back, they're going to put him in this really terrible facility, this prison. It's like, yeah, because he's a murderer.
Exactly. Well, I mean, this is an example of a policy or the way that the current administration's hands have been tied by the Biden administration, but also just the immigration system itself. It's making it more difficult for justice to really be enacted, and for the immigration system to root out those fraudulent asylum cases, fraudulent asylum claims from the real ones. And so, you got a guy who really needs to go, but he is protected under, I guess, what maybe is a well-intended policy, which unfortunately, though, is backfiring.
You know what? We'll get into that in a minute. I'm sure it was well-intended, but it was certainly warped and misused and completely bastardized in this case, and I suspect many more. More on this story in a moment. First, though, at 6:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
If this was only targeting violent criminals, that would be one thing, but that's not what's happening here. More than 90% of migrants, more than 90% that have been detained by ICE going back to October have no serious criminal conviction.
Going back to October, doesn't that mean during the Biden administration as well? 90% have no criminal convictions, which is a fascinating stat there, by the way. You don't have to have a conviction to be deported if you're in the country illegally and you've been arrested for a crime. You can be, in fact, if you're in the country legally with a green card and you get arrested for a crime, you can be deported, regardless of the outcome of that trial. But you heard at the beginning there that Senator Alex Padilla, the guy who grandstanded and got arrested at the DHS press conference in Los Angeles. You hear the beginning.
If this was only targeting violent criminals, that would be one thing, but that's not.
Oh, sure. If it were only targeting violent criminals. Once again,
That's a
this
lie.
report from Bill Maloogian, who were they targeting?
Only Fox News was with ICE and HSI officers in Los Angeles as they moved in to take down a high-priority aggravated felon. His name is Alexander Palacios Guevara. DHS says he's a Salvadoran illegal alien and Sureños gang member with prior convictions for murder and attempted murder.
Yeah, there you go. That's who they're going after there, Senator Padilla. And what did Senator Padilla say?
If this was only targeting violent criminals, that would be one thing.
Yeah, that is exactly who it's targeting. And again, the weasel words there, targeted, that is who they're targeting. But again, because of their sanctuary policies, these violent criminals are walking amongst the community, living in homes, maybe getting a job somewhere illegally. So when ICE comes in to try to get that guy, everybody, I don't know if you've ever seen a police raid or police go in, it's like, they don't just say, everyone else go about your business, we're only going after this guy. No.
You got to detain everybody.
They walk into the room and they say, okay, everybody, hands up, down on the floor. We're checking everybody's papers, because if you're consorting with this hardened criminal, that means we're going to run a check on you too. If you're clean, fine. If not, you're out of here. And that's what happens.
And rightly so. By the way, I have to put that on my bucket list. I want to do a police ride-along and an ICE ride-along. Because that would be fun.
Wear a hard hat with the concrete blocks.
I know, and a flak vest, and I'm going to wear a mask.
Yes.
But what's interesting, just speaking to the overall point that Democrats are totally lying. They're being disingenuous when they say, oh, we support removing illegal immigrants who are criminal and who are violent. No, they want to protect every single last one of them, because we've seen how the ends they've gone to protect Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who has been a criminal involved in very violent human trafficking. And then, interestingly, Speaker Mike Johnson, he posted a video of Representative Maxwell Frost at a rally yesterday talking about giving blanket amnesty to every single illegal alien in the United States. Now, hey, maybe you'll say, oh, he's part of the more radical side of the Democratic Party, but frankly, he represents the face of the Democratic Party. They want every illegal immigrant here, criminal or whatever, to be allowed to stay here and become part of the American fabric. And I don't think we should allow that.
Of course, that's the mainstream of the Democrat leadership. In fact, that's the highest levels of the Democrat leadership wants blanket amnesty. I can prove it. Number one, the person they nominated for president last time around, Kamala Harris, she has called for what they call pathway to citizenship for everyone in this country illegally. That's amnesty for everyone in the country illegally. And her predecessor, Joe Biden, who was the president of the United States, Alex Padilla says, well, if they were only going after these hardened criminals, excuse me, sir, it was your party and your president who let the hardened criminals in the country in the first place.
Terrorists,
if you were
murderers,
if you were really in favor of deporting them now, then why did you let them in yesterday? Again, people have to understand, these are convicted criminals from crimes they committed in their home country that we knew about when they came here. There's no secret here. That's the reason we have the warrant for them now, because we know they committed these crimes. They encountered a Border Patrol agent. Border Patrol agent says, oh, wait a second, you've got a murder conviction. They said, oh, yeah, but I want asylum. And they said, oh, then welcome, come on in. Because that was the previous administration's policy. So don't tell me you're now in favor of deporting them when you were the ones who let them in.
We
the
don't
first
believe
place.
it.
Again, Laura Reese Heritage Foundation, and the basis of this, my guess is these are from people who were legitimately innocent targets and victims of oppressive regimes who feared for their lives if they went back. Not murderers, not gang members. You can't send me back there. My rival gang will kill me. Well, dude, that's what you get for being in a gang in the first place.
Thank you. We shouldn't be a sanctuary to somebody who's running from the problems they created themselves. No.
We will ask Laura Reese of Heritage Foundation, formerly of DHS, about this policy and what it would take to get rid of it and how it was warped and bastardized and used to protect the worst of the worst, as we just played out for you under the Biden administration. That's coming up. Right now, it's 6:23.
All right. right. Well, yesterday was Juneteenth. We were on to talk a little bit about it. We'll cover some of the zany things we saw celebrated yesterday and really what the future of Juneteenth as a federal holiday could be. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 6:30.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
And it's now 6:37. Thank you for sticking with us this Friday morning as we still clean up the mess from the storms yesterday and move into a very hot and humid cycle of weather over the course of the next week. Coming up later in the program at 7:05, as we just mentioned, Laura Reese of Heritage Foundation and formerly of DHS talk about this DCAT program, that how a convicted murderer can be protected from deportation. At 8:05, Chuck Thies, D.C. political analyst, will join us, talk about the latest to approve the RFK Stadium plan. And then at 8:35, Andrew Galili, he's with the National Union for Democracy in Iran. He is hoping for that regime change, and he'll tell us what that might look like. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka.
Happy Friday, Larry. Just grooving to this morning's music.
You really are. You've got that head. You do that thing with your head that I can't do. I don't have that.
Well, I have a little bit of rhythm in me. I'm black.
I mean, I can. Oh my God, Patrice is
that
black.
Racist? Yeah, if you didn't know. Black. If you did not know, folks.
I don't know how this happened. How did you slip through the cracks?
Right? I have been just uninvited to the family picnic, so, you know.
Because you're black?
Because I'm Republican and conservative.
I was gonna say. That's the objectionable thing about you. Yes. What goes on under that skin of yours in your head? Can't have that. Yep. Which brings us to our Juneteenth conversation.
Nice lead-in, right?
Well, I want to start with Joe Biden's Juneteenth announcement yesterday. He put out a really great post on his X social media account, all about Juneteenth and honoring it and celebrating it and recognizing it. The only problem on his Juneteenth, which is, if you know, just in case you didn't, Patrice, June 19th is the Juneteenth celebration.
Yes, yeah.
And Joe Biden's Juneteenth message was posted on June 20th.
Wow.
Which makes me think maybe he's doing his own tweeting. I always assumed
that would make sense.
That he had
it would 100% make sense that Joe Biden would have woken up this morning and said, "Oh, happy Juneteenth, everybody."
He posted, "One of my proudest moments of my presidency was making Juneteenth a federal holiday. It's a day of liberation, it's a day of remembrance, and it's a day of celebration. Today it was an honor to be in Galveston, where freedom rang out 160 years ago." He posted that at 12:26 a.m. on June 20th.
Oh, poor Joe. Poor Joe. Well, now, so what's interesting is that, yes, he's taking credit for Juneteenth, but it was President Trump who started the process. And in fact, he ran in 2020 on making Juneteenth a federal holiday. Yeah. And he was the one who, pushed and nudged Congress to enact it because he recognized that it was a holiday celebrating a Republican president emancipating slaves in this country. And it was Democratic slave owners who refused to let their slaves in Galveston, Texas, know that they had been freed by a Republican president. And it was a Republican Union Army that freed those slaves.
And it announced the Emancipation Proclamation to them in Galveston.
Exactly. Right? So it would make sense that a Republican president would get it started. But, hey, the Democrats, they like to take credit.
Okay, now, I hear you, but we got to report all the facts here. As you know, it did make sense for Joe Biden to finally culminate his long history as such an iconic warrior for civil rights. After all, He marched at Selma and during the civil rights protests in the 60s. He was arrested in South Africa with Nelson Mandela, if I remember right.
Goodness.
And if wait, all of those were lies that he told about
Those were
himself.
made up stories.
That's right.
Yes.
I'm sorry. He actually had in fact, his best friends in the Senate when he first joined in the 70s were segregationists. And he championed busing. Or no, he opposed busing, actually. Don't you remember Kamala Harris? That little girl was me.
It took him a while. It took him a while to meet a clean, educated, articulate black man who became his boss one day.
Yes.
Took him a few decades.
All right. So, but honestly, truly in the spirit of full disclosure and telling all sides of the story and delivering facts, you're right. It was Donald Trump who instigated the Juneteenth celebration that became a federal holiday. However, yesterday, Donald Trump put on Truth Social, there are too many non-working holidays in America.
Yes.
It's costing our country billions of dollars to keep all these businesses closed. The workers don't want it either. Soon we'll end up having a holiday for everyone's working day of the year. It must change if we're going to make America great again. So, I don't know, square that circle for me.
Yeah. There was someone in his ear in 2020 who said, oh, this would be great to add to the Black platform. And, listen, do I think we need Juneteenth? No. Do I think it's nice to have a nice little extra June holiday? I'm not mad at it. But
says
I do
a woman
recognize...
married to a federal worker.
I know, right? And as working for a nonprofit, I also had the day off, although I was with you guys.
You were
in the
working
morning.
with us, absolutely. There's
I
mean, radio is kind of nonprofit too, but in a very different sense.
In a different way. I do agree that we have too many holidays, and we could probably combine some of them. Like we have MLK's birthday, and we have Juneteenth, two holidays that are similar in that they're celebrating the freedom and expanding the promise of America to every American every person in this country. I mean, I think you could combine them and maybe put them in March together. I mean, I know it's after MLK's birthday, but it's before Juneteenth, and then you make it one.
Don't get in the way of my drinking day on St. Patty's. Come on.
But you see, what if it was held on St. Patrick's Day so that everybody could celebrate MLK
Patrice,
and
you're going to be accused
of a drink?
You're going to be accused of watering down the black holidays and say, "Oh, I see. So the black man can't get two holidays." Is that what you're saying? We already have the shortest month of the year as Black History Month, and now you're going to...
White, black, Asian, Hispanic get Juneteenth and MLK. So it's not even just a black thing.
Let's let Scott Walker have the final word. He posted on X yesterday. Juneteenth Day is the anniversary of the day when the last slaves in a state governed by Democrats were freed by a proclamation issued by a Republican president. That's right. If you enjoyed your Juneteenth yesterday... thank a Republican. It's 6:44.
Friday on the Derek Hunter Show. It's 1 week since the Democrats had their big prom of protesting no kings. What will they do next? We'll talk about it at 3 o'clock on WMAL.
Patrice, let's button up our Juneteenth conversation here with a bit of a contest. We like to do radio contests. Radio does that. We do contests. 10th caller, How many times can you say WMAL in 7 seconds? Things like that. $100 for every, All right, so here's the contest. It's a very simple one. You get no prize, by the way, other than our undying gratitude and adoration.
Okay.
And you don't call in. Just let us know on social media. You can find me and Patrice pretty easily. I want you to listen. This is President Biden yesterday delivering his remarks celebrating Juneteenth, which, as you know, means a lot to him. And these are spoken from the heart. These are his words, not some speechwriter, damn it. Nobody tells Joe Biden what to say. So listen to what he has to say, and then I'll explain the contest in a second. But listen closely.
The African American community were being very, very badly treated. I became a public defender. One of the things that I started doing, I happen to be a practicing Catholic, and I'd go to 7 o'clock Mass at St. Joseph on Brandywine, and then 10 o'clock services at AME Church.
All right, we're going to let this play through, but I should probably clue you in. The contest is very simple. It's you tell us, what the hell is he saying? That's the contest. It's the what the hell is Joe Biden saying contest right here on WMAL. let us know. We'll celebrate you if you can come close to it. I did hear. I'm Catholic, and I used to go to Mass at St. Francis Parish. Beyond that, I don't know what else. But go ahead. Let's listen to the rest.
Bishop Beeman, who now is heading up the Bishops' Council, has told the bishop he knows the relationship.
That's right.
And look, my whole being, particularly as a high school and college student, was formed by the black community. I come from an area where we're the third largest percent of African Americans in any state in the Union in Delaware. Delaware is a strange state. Delaware is the first state, but it's also a state that was a slave state by a great chain. But it fought on the side of the north, and you couldn't get to the south like Maryland and 2 other states. And so even when we did Juneteenth, it didn't affect people in Delaware because they weren't from the Confederacy. The only people that were in the Confederacy. It wasn't until the Emancipation Proclamation.
There you go. Bit of a history lesson there, I think. I get the funny thing about those clips is you can sort of hear like maybe 5 words strung together. It's like, oh, okay, I'm tracking, I'm listening, I get it, and then and then you're just lost. You're just
sad.
lost. That's
sad.
No, Patrice, he's sharp as a tack, and he would have been 150 days into his second term now, and everything would have been just fine. Just fine. He's just fine. There you go. We're looking for your responses.
Yeah.
The WMAL, what the hell did Joe Biden just say? Contest this 20th day of June. Looking forward to hearing your responses. 6:52.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.